We're going to be doing all the cool stuff now. We got our 6 cropped out images, and we are going to be first things first is we're going to create our new file that we're going to do all the cool stuff in. So on the top left of your screen where it says File, click that for a big drop-down menu, and then the very top option is New. So go ahead and choose File, New. Only worry about the contents over here in Preset Details. Where it says Untitled 1, feel free to select all of that, delete it, and we're going to call it your first name, your last name, / pattern. Where it says pixels, make sure that you change that to inches, and we're going to keep things simple with the other file, and we're going to keep it the same size, 12 by 12. You don't need to worry about orientation. Resolution, leave that at 300 if it's not, and then color mode RGB. After that, you can go down to the very bottom right and hit create. You'll end up with a white square. In the top left of your screen here, you will see tabs. Just like you would on like any internet browser, you can tab between your first project here, the stock photos, and your second one, the pattern. So we're going to start back here though on the left tab of stock photos. I'm going to go over to my layers and I'm going to eyeball out layer 6 because for me it makes sense to start here with layer 1. The other big thing that I can tend to forget to do a lot of the times on here is hiding your background. Your very bottom layer will be a locked layer called background. Make sure that you click the eyeball here to get rid of it. We don't want the background in the pattern. You will notice that it kind of turns to like a checkerboard-like style. Like if I zoom in, oh, the checkerboards actually don't zoom in with it. That means transparent. We don't want anything in the background or in our pattern other than our objects themselves. So now I have layer 1 selected. I'm going to go up to the top by where it said file, but I'm going to go over to edit right here. I'm going to get an even bigger drop-down list. And pretty far down, you will find an option called Define Pattern. Get used to this because you're going to be doing it 6 times. So Define Pattern, and you'll see this comes up. You can name it. I recommend naming it something that makes sense. So I'm going to call it Milkshake 1 or /1, and then I'm going to hit OK. After that, I'm going to eyeball that one out and eyeball in layer 2. Same deal. Edit, and then I'm going to go to Define Pattern right here. There it is. I always lose where that is. And I will call this Milkshake /2. Eyeballing out layer 2, I will then go to layer 3. Edit. Define Pattern. Milkshake 3. Here we go. Speeding things up, hopefully in post-editing. Edit. Define Pattern. Milkshake 4. That's the best looking one. Edit. Define Pattern. Milkshake 5. Last but not least. Alright. I now have created patterns of all of these milkshakes. And you might be saying, I don't understand what that means. How's that a pattern? Well, now's your chance to see it in action. Go to your new file here that we named your name and then pattern. And right now we just have a background layer right now. I want to make a new one. So I'm going to go hit the very bottom of the layer window. There's one icon with a plus sign. If you hover over it, it will say create new layer. Go ahead and click that. You'll see that it's just called layer 1. We can leave it as that for now. And I'm going to go back up to edit in the very top left of your screen. Instead of Define Pattern, though, this time we're going to start filling the patterns in. So you want to choose Fill right here. After you do that, by default, it will say foreground color, like this. In this drop-down arrow of foreground color, you choose Pattern. And then under Custom Patterns, I think yours will probably be default to trees, I want to say. Perhaps this one specifically. Click the drop-down arrow, we can minimize that, and you'll see your patterns right here. If you want to stay hyper-organized and make more than one of these projects, which they do go fast, you could right-click in the open space, or you can hit this little wheel guy, cogwheel up here. You could have small thumbnails. I think that's what it is by default. You could have text only. I don't like that one, personally. I'm going to go small thumbnail. The other thing, too, that you'll notice with your little pattern window is this guy here in the bottom right. You can expand him out and move him around and stuff like that. So in here, I'm going to right-click. Maybe I right-click on one. New pattern group. And I'm going to call this Milkshakes and hit OK. And then I can drag them all into the milkshake folder like so. Again, Not required, but it's nice to stay organized. That way if I make a second one, I can. So I'm going to start over here with this guy right here, I figure. He's the first one I did. We'll test it out with him. So I've chosen this pattern. I'm going to click off that little extra thing. Where it says script right here, you want to choose that. There's a couple different options here. You can play around with them later, but trust me when I say random fill is what we want here. We want this to be kind of like a procedurally generated kind of algorithm going on. So choose random fill for now. Blend mode, leave that alone at normal, and opacity, leave that at home at, or leave that alone at 100%, and then go ahead and click OK. After you do that, this does take a little bit to load because it is doing a lot of work right now in terms of like generating all of this. So we have a lot of options right here. You can hit preset. You can actually save these later if you like them generally, but right now we're going to be creating them all customly. Density is like how many of them are there. Anything more than a 1.0 density is going to give you a ton. Like I can put this all the way down to like 2, and then you'll start seeing some empty space. I'm going to leave it pretty high though. I'm going to leave it at like 1.6. Don't go beyond 2. I feel like it gets nuts at that point. Minimum scale factor is the tiniest possible size that they could be. I'm gonna go 0.31 for this. I'll try to like get a pretty big range here, and I'm gonna leave my max size at 1.68. Always make sure that this is checked rotate pattern, because that way, otherwise all your milkshakes will be straight vertical, and that would be kind of boring. Well, you're not doing milkshakes. All your objects will be straight vertical. Color randomness, we don't want that. Brightness randomness, I'd leave it at 1.1, or yeah, I'm sorry, 0.1, just to, I don't know, give it a little bit, but I really wouldn't recommend moving that one any more than that. All right, go up to the top where it says OK and click OK. Give it a couple seconds here to generate. Ooh, I did not get that many milkshakes on that time. So, if you don't like what you got, you can always hold down Command and hit Z, and you could go back and do it again. Edit, fill, random, hit OK. So I feel like I didn't get a whole lot, right? Like, density maybe was too small, so I'll go 3.6 this time. See what happens. Let it generate. Density, I've found, is the one that lags the most, like, when generating, and then I'll click OK. There we go. Cool. Couple more anyway, right? So, now that I have this one, I'm just going to do one more with you, and then I'll just let the video, like, or I'll stop talking and I'll speedrun the video. So we're going to go create a new layer down here in the bottom right where it says, again, create new layer, layer 2. I'll go edit, and I will do fill. And under custom patterns, I'm going to choose a different milkshake. Right here, random fill, hit OK. Give it a second. All right. Maximum scale factor, I'm going to take it pretty low. I'm actually going to make them all relatively the same size. And under minimum scale factor, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And then I will leave the density alone at 3.6 and see what happens. Again, this is a lot of guess and check work, but the results are always cooler that way. So then I'm going to hit OK. There we go. Cool. I got some more. I really, by the end of this, don't want any empty space to be shown. So I will be generating, I'll go 1 through 6, and then maybe I'll do another round of 1 through 6 on my milkshakes. All right, I'm going to stop this video. I'll be recording another one of where you can just see me work silently, but I'm going to be, let me just refresh this part here. Hit create new layer every time. So layer 3, I'm going to go back and do another milkshake. So you don't ever want them to be on the same layer. That way you have more editing control. All right, guys, have fun with this. This is cool.